All right, we got all right, guys, we already got some people in here. Can't be beat on the comment section. Mike, Powerstroke bloke is pretty vicious on getting in there first. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming to the live stream. I'm trying to schedule them a little in advance so more of you guys can get in here. So glad to see we already got, oh, we just jumped up 4 people. Awesome. So it's great to have you guys. How's everyone doing? Let's try to get caught up on comments already because I started out behind now. And here's the legend, I suppose. This thing completely still. How much power is my 6-liter putting out? We will find out on the 17th. But previously, before I did injectors, my everything else being the same, that's a lie. I did a high pressure oil pump from CNC Fab. So my stock 180,000 mile injectors and high pressure oil pump put down 503 horsepower and 1,010 pound-feet of torque. That was on Pierce Diesel Doctor. He's a real cool guy. He has a mobile dyno, goes to a bunch of events. So I went up to his shop and spent the afternoon there. And actually, that's my one dyno video. I assume you're probably newer to the channel. There is a dyno video. If you, whoops, sorry guys. If you look up 6.0 Bros dyno, that should have all that information there. Now, I have a dyno event on the 17th, which I have 175 stock cc or 175 cc stock nozzle injectors that have been added to the truck, and also a CNC Fab Stage 1 high pressure oil pump. So we'll see what the truck's doing now. We got good fuel with the fuel fast system. The high pressure oil is taken care of, and the injectors are healthy. So looking for some exciting stuff there. And my FICM's good. FICM's running 48 volts. We don't have any issues there either. So pretty excited to get to that event. Hopefully some of you guys can come out. That would be awesome to have you guys come down and get to meet more of you. So that's in New Jersey. I have in my most recent video I posted earlier today, I know some of you guys have seen it, some of you probably haven't. I do post where it's at, and check us out on Instagram. I have a link to his Instagram in my most recent post there as well. So let's see here. 2019 mods. For this, I have a new truck mod planned. But no, in all seriousness, for this truck, I am honestly considering I'm going to need a built transmission to be able to race and dyno next year, just because of the injectors and turbo I'm planning on running. I will definitely be running out of steam for the transmission life. So that is a 2019 modification, probably about tax season. We're going to call that the tax season mod most likely. Then I am planning larger injectors, a larger turbo, just a slightly larger turbo, because this truck needs to tow. If this can't tow my camper, then I've ruined this build and need to make that happen again. So, excuse me. After that, I'm not sure when I'm going to get the axle swap done to the 05 axle. I would like to get that done ideally this month, but truth be told, with how everything's going, that might be pushed back maybe to January or February. And I will probably do a rear axle swap to a 05 as well after that. So that probably is most of the mods for this truck that I currently have. And I am planning, nothing is set in stone yet, but I am planning on potentially getting a drag truck, a 6-liter regular cab 4x4 to make a drag build and have that basically be a dedicated race truck. I'll definitely drive it on the street. I'm not going to make a 2,000 horsepower thing, but I am looking at my goal would be in the first year of running it to hit like 800 horsepower, and probably in the second year bring that up to 11 or 1,200 horsepower. Again, nothing is set in stone with that, just something I'm considering. Well, I'm heavily looking at doing in the near future as the next part of this channel. As we finish the build on my truck, as the tow rig, the daily driver, but fun at the track, and kind of transition into the next avenue and make something pretty crazy for everybody. So we'll see what happens with that. My guess 650 plus. I am not going to hit 650 horsepower. I don't have enough fuel and I don't have enough air to do that. That would be crazy. However, I do think I'm going to be, I hate to make this prediction without knowing, because obviously it'd be a sad day to turn around and make like 520. But I do think for my turbo and injector setup, I'm going to be one of the higher numbers, just with how the truck's been, how it's running at the track. I do feel the truck is probably going to surprise people. For a stock nozzle with a 175 body, I do think the truck's going to put down. My official estimate is 545 and 1050 pound-feet of torque. That is my official guess. We'll see what it does, but I do think the cam, the exhaust manifolds, excuse me again, the intercooler, the piping kit, all those small things have added up to, nobody thought on stock nozzles that the truck would lay. I shouldn't say that. I had some of you guys guessing 500, but nobody really thought that the truck would lay down 503 on the dyno with stock injectors. So I do think the truck is going to be roughly mid 500s. We'll see what happens. Going from the drag calculators for like the quarter mile time over to horsepower calculators with the weight of vehicle, time and miles per hour, all that stuff. It is saying the truck could, is in the mid 500 range. So, and all those calculators have different guesses in there. I've tried a few just to see what they're all saying, but they're all saying mid 500s for what the truck did. So, very excited to see what happens on November 17th. It's like New Jersey Diesel Repair and Performance, I believe, is the shop. He calls it Trucks Giving. So, very excited for that. What kind of tuner do you have? So, Caleb, I run SCT with custom tunes. There is a ton of great custom tuners out there. For my race tune, I run Innovative Diesel Performance Ultimate X Tune. Now, I did buy 4 of their tunes. I will say for daily driving, they're not my favorite, but as far as at the track, they run amazing, and I love it. So that's who I drag race with. My typical daily driving tunes come from Windrunner Performance Engineering. And I do want to say one more thing about Innovative Diesel. I have not asked them to revise the tune for shifting points. I'm sure the things that I don't care for with it, they could revise. But I bought those tunes pretty much to go fast, and they accomplish that and shift perfectly when doing that. So I'm not messing with it because I don't want to mess up any time at the track. So I'm very happy with that. So after that, Windrunner Performance Engineering is who I run for my tow file and my favorite daily driving tune. The tow file makes great power for towing. It helps tow my 13,000 pound fifth wheel very well. And their race tune is what I daily drive. It makes considerably less power. I would say it probably makes around 460 horsepower. So you're talking potentially 60 to 80 horsepower less than what the Ultimate X tune from Innovative Diesel makes, but it's just a very nice daily driving tune. So those are the 2 tuners I've experienced with this winter. I am looking at Truck Source Diesel for their SPD tune. That is probably the next one I'm going to try out this winter. And that's more not because I feel I need it, just kind of a review for you guys, something to help bring some winter content when I can't be working on the trucks as much or out goofing around as often. So something I will probably do this winter, along with maybe some Ficum tuning, just to see how that all responds. And Caleb, with the 6-liter, custom tunes is where you need to be. The transmission has more electronically controlled things. And sorry, guys, I'm looking down at the comments and I realize that you guys are not seeing me looking at you. But so with the 6-liter Powerstroke, the transmission has a relearn process. It's very different from the, I can't remember. It's not E40. It's a 4100 or R4100, whatever that transmission for the 7.3 is, I believe, the 4R. It's different in more than one way. We won't go into all of it. But essentially with the 5R, you need to be cautious of the relearn process. So if you just have like a shift on the fly thing like the Banks tuner, a lot of times that'll as you're switching through, because you run it on like a, setting 3, and then a Dodge pulls up beside you, you want to race him, you're going to crank it at auto 5, you're going to floor it. Well, that's bad for the transmission. So the SCT tune with the custom tunes, it gives you transmission tuning on top of it. That's how people are running 450, 500 horsepower reliably and not damaging their transmissions in the process for the 6-liter. Ripon 6.0, I am going to sell my 175s when I upgrade. That is most likely, and I say most likely because I have something in the works I'll kind of talk about later with a company potentially doing some work with them that I might consider upgrading earlier. But essentially right now my plan is to upgrade injectors in the spring. After I want to drag race one more time with my current setup, and then my goal is to upgrade to 190 30cc injectors, which will be the final injector I stick with in my truck. Monster Ram, I am not 100% sure. I am considering, I run a 35-inch tire on my truck, and when it's just unloaded, it's fine. But when I'm loaded towing my camper, what happens is I need to speed to stay well into the boost and have it tow well, but you can't cruise at 75 miles per hour everywhere you go hooked up to that camper. So I'm considering upgrading. Excuse me, let me open a drink here. So with a 410, it would essentially bring it back down to the factory ratio with the 31 and 373s. So that is what I'm considering, is hitting up the 410s. I will make that official decision when I do the rear end, in which case I will have to redo my front axle as well, because the 05 I have is 373. So that is, I'm kicking around that idea. We'll see if I do enough towing to justify 410s. Let's see here. Okay, for the record, I was here before it started. That's right, bloke. You were back on your game today, that Powerstroke bloke. Those of you guys that don't know, that Powerstroke bloke has been with us since the very, very early on in this channel's existence. And one of the things, he was getting razzed initially because he kept commenting first on all of my videos, which at the time was not very hard to do because nobody was commenting. And we all love him. He's a huge supporter of the channel. I'm so happy to have him here because I truly believe he was somebody that helped get people start commenting on my videos. So a Powerstroke bloke, man, we love you. Thank you for all the support and love you show us. We really do appreciate it, man. Mike, I'm excited for the dyno video. I'm very excited for the dyno. I'm hoping to hit mid 500s with a 175 stock nozzle injector and a Power Max turbo. I feel like not a ton of people are doing that. Well, with that nozzle specifically, I think the Power Max is capable, but I hear a lot. I think the nozzle is my biggest restriction, but we are going to talk about turbos in a little bit, guys. I have something pretty exciting that I'm in the works with now, but we'll talk about that here shortly. Yeah, Monster Ram, I have heard that about the Dodge transmissions needing to be very, I hate to say the word finicky. I mean, not that I think Dodge transmissions in general have a reputation, but I hear the newer ones are pretty reliable. I forget which, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I've heard that there's a newer one that is very reliable, very robust, and doing well. But that relearn process will tear a transmission up in a heartbeat if you're not careful. So, it's like switching tunes all the time and then flooring it. That's bad for the transmission. You should at least give it 50, 75 miles to start to relearn. But I don't think the full relearn process is done until you're at 150, 200 miles with it. Mike, I should definitely keep that in mind because I am, like I said, considering a few different tuners. Some tuners, I know if you buy a brand new tuner from them, will give you, I think it's Gearhead. If you buy a tuner from them, you can get lifetime free revisions and stuff like that. Or Innovative Diesel, if you buy the mod from them, so if you get their ultimate tune package, which is 4 tunes, and turn around and buy a turbo from them, they'll give you a free relearn. Otherwise, it's like $100 to revise all your tunes. I don't know what's done with our transition, but I've been incredibly impressed with a stock transmission putting up with, I did 7 dyno passes with my current setup. It did like another 6, or not dyno passes, quarter-mile passes, trying my butt off to give it everything, you know, pedal to the floor. And then it has like 6 dyno pulls under its belt when it was making 500 horsepower. So, you know, I've been impressed with it. I did change the fluid a while ago. I need to change it again probably to make sure I get through the winter. But next year we'll definitely need a built transmission. So that is one of the first things I plan to do in the new year is get that transmission under there. So the last weak link really in the truck, the last significant expensive weak link that is addressed then, hopefully by February, or in February, I should say. Coming down, do you have, I do not have nitrous. I've had a few people ask me to put nitrous to the truck, and to put nitrous to the truck, you need wastegates in the exhaust side, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not very familiar with it, but I do believe you need to run wastegates on the exhaust side to alleviate excessive back pressure, or you're going to destroy your turbo. So I don't have a setup for that. And on this truck, I have 0 plans to ever run nitrous on it. That is not, sorry, I got a fly here. That is not the plan. The plan is to keep this as a daily driver, tow rig, that I can go to the track and still have fun and enjoy myself. But again, reliability was first and foremost when making this. So that is kind of my #1 right now. So coming back to the comments here. At least 410s. The reason, yeah, I agree with that. If you're on 35s, you need to go to at least a 410. The reason I want to stick away from 430s, I don't want to run out of gearing. And the 410s should essentially equate to the exact same final drive ratio that the stock setup with 31s and 373s. It should be very close. That's why I'm eyeing up 410s. Plus, it'd be nice for my speedometer to be accurate again, as opposed to being off. So we'll see here. But yeah, 410s are getting a very heavy look. Plus, there's a lot of axles with them out there. So I could buy a 410 rear axle and only have to worry about regearing 1 axle. So there's definitely cost savings there. That is something else I'm considering. Well, I'll DM you when I hear about buying them when you're ready to sell. Ribbon 6.0, yeah, definitely hit me up. I don't have a confirmed buyer. There is somebody I know that's interested, but he has a current situation going on that I'm not sure what's going on. He's a good friend. He's become a good friend of mine. But definitely, you feel free to hit me up when I'm ready. It's going to definitely be not till the spring, though, that I start considering that. 6.0 roll coal I just purchased. I'm not going to reveal the exact tire and wheel combination. I can tell you this. I bought fuel wheels. They have a gloss black and milled accent, and I did get them ceramic coated. I'm not going to tell you the tires yet. I can tell. I know some of you guys are going to be a little disappointed because the Nitto Terra Grappler, or Ridge Grappler, got like this like overwhelming response. Everybody wanted me to get that. I did not go with that tire, but I think the 20x10 wheel is going to get some approval. We have a negative. I can't tell you that because that can help limit it too. So you guys are just going to have to wait for that video to come out. 20x10s, fuel wheels is all I'm revealing for now. We're definitely going to wait for the rest. I'm thinking you guys are going to love that video. I'm excited about it. I have a budget wheel on the truck now. I have a nice tire with the Toyo AT, but I never really thought I'd buy truly what I consider expensive wheels. So I'm excited for it. It's something I've always wanted, but at the same time, never felt like I could justify. This is something that I'm doing strictly for the channel, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. I'm definitely excited for that video to come up. They're in stock. I bought them today. They're in stock. They are pulling my tire setup, or they're pulling the whole setup, getting them ceramic coated and mounted and balanced, and sending them out to me. So we'll see what happens, guys. I'm very excited. And I hope you guys all are too for that video. Bloke, I know you left, but again, just thank you for all the support you give us. I love hearing from all of you guys. That's why I do these live streams. I love having you guys in here and talking. That interaction with you guys really makes this channel worth it to have your support for what I'm doing here. Thank you guys all so much for what you do for me. As a content creator, you guys make it worth it. Seeing some of you guys coming out at the dyno event. Sorry, I have the dyno event on my mind because I'm really excited for it. Seeing some of you guys come out to the call out and talk to me and get to interact. I talked to a couple of you guys for a pretty decent length of time. And, it seriously meant the world to me to get to talk to you guys and know that I have that support behind me driving this channel. So thank you all for that. If you did the 6.4 whose message? I can't say this message, but sorry, a good friend just hit me up. But anyway, I can't remember. JK, I did not do the 6.4 transpan yet. I am planning on, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the 6.4 transpan or just get a, what's the brand, MagTech transpan for it. We'll see. That might be something, that's probably the route I'll go, because then I'll be able to just take that pan over to the built transmission and put it up there with the 6.4 filter. So, but currently, no, I am not. I think that's the stock filter from factory, so I feel kind of ashamed about that, but we'll address that very soon. Caleb, no problem, man. Any questions? Feel free to always hit us up anywhere. You don't need to wait till I do a live stream. I just, hit me up with any questions on here. Instagram, I get messages all the time about stuff. So, that's part of what this channel is about, is helping people with 6-liter Powerstroke. So if you ever have anything, any of our social media outlets, hit us up. Just remember, for Instagram, there's an H after the 0 in 6.0, H Bros, kind of attempted play on words, because somebody had 6.0 Bros on Instagram already. I'd like to steal their name. But anyway, so yeah, anytime, man. No, not a problem at all. Brandon, I'm running 175 stock nozzle premium Warren diesel injectors at the moment. Just stopped in to say hi. Hope you're pulling some good numbers on the dyno. I'm actually floating through. It's a small world, right? As I talk. It's Amia. Good to see you, man. A lot of you guys probably don't know this. He actually sent me some footage of the truck at the event. I tried to incorporate. A few of you guys came and were taking videos and sending it to me, which again meant the world. I tried to put all of it that I got into that video because you guys had some awesome footage, and I think it helped make that video that much better because, again, you guys came, you guys got video for me. So thank you very much for what you guys do for me. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. Sean, thank you. Really appreciate that. We're growing, and again, it's because of you guys, and just glad to, the response I get sometimes is overwhelming, all the support you guys give me. So again, thank you very, very much for that. The bigger engines. Jordan, yes, I do. I plan, because the Power Max is not going to support 190 30cc injectors. The Power Max, I think the highest I'd run a Power Max to is a 175/30. And I think, truthfully, a 175 stock nozzle is really, because I still get a haze. Excuse me again. I still get a haze on full throttle. It's not bad. It's not smoky. But I think a 30% nozzle on a 175, and try to, those of you guys that don't know, to make this point, so you have the body, which is how much fuel it holds. So I have a stock is 135. So I have 40 cc's more in the body of the injector. And then the nozzle is how fast it comes out. So with a 175 stock nozzle injector, down low, you're not restricting yourself because you can dump, a stock nozzle can empty fuel down low just fine. It's up in the higher RPM range that you start limiting, because when your pulse, you can only have your pulse width so much, you're limited. And I don't know a ton about that part. Pulse width is how long the injector is actually injecting fuel. But with a stock nozzle in the higher RPM range, you're limiting your fuel, and that's where that's a drawback. So if I had a 30% nozzle, there's a reason 175/30s are as popular as they are, because they're a great overall do everything injector. Same goes for a 190/30, just you have a little more top end with that injector. Anyway, so if I have a haze with a stock nozzle, I feel a 30% injector would kind of definitely be a little more smoky on a full fuel tune. But the Power Max is always a great alternative. You know, there's a lot of bad turbo options out there, and I keep directing people to KC Turbo, or just go to your local Garrett turbo dealer and get yourself a Power Max. Call it a day. You'll be happy with the turbo. Jordan, we're going to come back to turbos after I get through these couple more comments. We're going to actually talk about some exciting news for the channel that's in the works. Nothing is confirmed, but I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about what might be happening. We'll see. Again, nothing's confirmed, set in stone, just something I have in the works. Monster Ram, as far as the actual size, because the big thing to remember is this is a conservative, I don't know if maybe I shouldn't call it a conservative build anymore. The goal is this truck needs to tow. So I can't put like a KC Stage 3 turbo, or there's a few 71, 72 millimeter compressor wheel turbos out there. I can't do that with this truck, because at the end of the day, it's going to have too much lag for me to tow with. So I am looking in the 64, 65 millimeter range. That's about as big as you can go in tow. But that's what I'm looking for with the truck. Again, a 190/30 and something in the 64, 65 millimeter compressor wheel with a 10-blade exhaust side will actually get the nod for my truck. Let's see here. Plus extra cap. JK, I don't understand the plus extra cap. I'm going to need you to expand on that, brother. Jordan, it was great meeting you. Again, thank you for coming out. Jordan, if I remember right, you were the gentleman that showed up with your dad. Let me know if I'm remembering correctly. I talked to a lot of people, and I'm bad with names on a good day. I want to make sure I have the right person here, but I believe you're the guy that showed up with his father, which was awesome getting to talk to you guys. Which, if you noticed, the thumbnail for this video should actually be me talking to you. My sister snapped a picture of us talking. So just bought new gaskets, and they came with newer standpipes. James, did you replace your standpipes and dummy plugs on your truck already, or did you already purchase them? Because if you haven't already purchased them, use them. If not, I believe Josh could, because that's the setup he has on his truck, is the wavy oil rails, unlike mine. Ripping 6 liter. You really want nitrous on the truck, huh? Curious if that dual ball bearing stage 2 are coming soon. JK, I do not have any information on that turbo. I do recommend people to KC Turbo, because he has clearly built an outstanding reputation in 6 liter turbos, and now really breaking in hard to the 7.3 market. You know, again, I think he has excellent customer service. I've purchased parts from him. I've never purchased a full turbo, but I have no reason to believe that you wouldn't get a quality product from him. So as far as the stage 2 as the ball bearing, yeah, I'm just not 100% sure what's going on with that. And I have no information. We don't communicate at all. I think if anything, he probably didn't like a comment I made a while ago, but he seems like a good guy, and I'm sure he's not overly upset. Those of you guys that don't know, I tried a Turbo Lab America turbo cover that mimics his original style. Not original. He had 2 different styles at one point. The one that he got really, really popular with, it mimics that with a drilled surge ring, and that was crash and burn. Didn't work. Turbo Labs wouldn't. We had an email or 2 exchange. And at one point, they told me to use RTF gasket maker to help seal behind the compressor housing. And I'm sorry, that's not how that's supposed to work. I'm not doing it. Your product doesn't work. So I don't recommend them. And I actually got a comment this week on that video from another person that's going through the same thing. And I just felt awful. So anyway, I digressed. But I did say that I didn't believe the castings, the products were as different as people were making it led to be. The difference is KC Turbo stands behind their product. And I would be shocked to find that product would have ever made it out their door if there was an issue. So something to consider with that. While we're talking about turbos, what is in the work, guys, is I'm potentially going to be getting a sponsorship with the company. We've exchanged 2 emails now, and we're talking about some stuff. So I don't want to talk about the company yet because I don't know if it's all going to go through, but they have some cool stuff, and they're not a big name in the 6-liter world. Hopefully, we can kind of work together. I'm very excited about it. But again, nothing is set in stone, guys. If it does fall through, I'll release the name then, either way, because I think they have something cool that nobody's looking at. So once I kind of iron out the rest of this, we will find out. You guys will definitely know because I will be through the roof excited to get this. But that is something in the works that you guys will definitely find out about as soon as I know more information. They have kits on nitrous. Rippin 60 does want that nitrous kit. I don't know that I'll ever put nitrous to this truck. Greg at Diesel and Automotive was trying to get me to let them ghetto fog my truck at this dyno event. Told him absolutely not. I bet the truck would make something crazy, though, with a little ghetto fog action. Bloke, welcome back. You didn't miss much, just going through some questions and answers, having some fun here. Transpan equals 6.4 versus aftermarket. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going with, JK. Jordan, glad that was you, man. I saw the thumbnail. Yeah, my sister snapped that while we were talking and having a good time. Jordan, it was great getting to meet you and your dad. That was awesome. Just such a great time for me to know that people came out to see me and talk to me. And, it was just awesome, especially knowing you guys have 6 liters. So thank you so much for coming out and not being shy to come up and talk to me right away. That was awesome. James, one thing to check, make sure they sent you the right dowel pin. You should have an 18 millimeter dowel pin, not a 20. So double check that. But as long as you have the right head gaskets, yeah, send me a text, James, and we'll talk, man. Rippin 60, that's good to hear. I'm very curious about this ball bearing turbo that kind of came on the market and then completely went away. I've heard numerous things, and I do not want to add to the rumor mill. I heard they were switching bearing types. I heard they were switching bearing manufacturers, and it's all in testing. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to spread false rumors about them. What I will say is KC has an excellent record for customer service for people, and I don't know of any upset customers. I'm sure there's one or two that sometimes you just can't appease everyone, but I'm sure it's not for lack of KC trying his butt off to make stuff happen for him. So that's why I send people there when they ask me, because I see the reputation he has. So that's where I tell everybody as of now. Now, that'll never change as long as his customer service stays the same, which I'm sure it will. But there is potentially a different company that I'll be talking about in the near future. We'll see. Yeah, James, hit me up. I'll talk to Josh, and I'm sure he'd be happy. And, just shoot me a text message, and we'll talk about it there. And we'll get that sorted out. Thank you, man. James, again, has been a longtime subscriber, guys. That's been just a huge support for us. Very excited for it to have some of you guys that have been around for a while. I don't forget all the original guy. Infamous 60 was a huge supporter. Ford Diesel is. Excuse me. Patrick Lucero, Tyler 60. A lot of you guys, I hope you guys all know that Josh and I still both talk about all of you and everything. Sorry, I keep belching, guys. You guys really mean a lot to us for all you've done for us and helps continue to support the channel and build us up. So anyway, guys, who's got questions? We've got 14 of you in here. Somebody's got to have a question for me. Let's hear it. Let's see it down below. What's, and it doesn't have to be just 6-liter related. I know a little bit about 7.3s, not a lot, but a little bit, I can talk well. A little bit about 7.3s, 6.4s, 6.7s again, but let's hear some questions, guys. Some exciting stuff. Probably be replacing injectors in my old man 7.3 in the near future, so that'll be happening. I'm sure he's going to love that I called him old man on here. Quarter-mile time goals. That's a good question. We're going to answer that in just a second. So my I did talk him into bigger injectors because he got tired of me calling his 7.3 slow and saying that of course you don't break anything when you don't make any power. He gets a little sensitive about that. So that video will be coming, comparing his stock truck to a tuned one, to a one with injectors and a tune, so we'll see how that is. Quarter-mile goals. So I'm going to talk about quarter-mile goals for this truck and the planned future truck. So for this truck, my goal is to hit 12s. I don't care if it's a 12.999. I just want to hit a 12-second pass with my crew cab short bed pickup in the quarter mile. So I feel like with my turbo injector setup, I will be able to do that. And I don't want it to be like, oh, I had to put a different turbo on my build to get there. I want it to be just my real setup, and hitting a 12.9 in the quarter mile would be awesome for me. And I think, I haven't checked to see what they estimate horsepower to be at to hit that goal, but I think we can make that happen. So we'll see. That is my goal for next year. Now, if I were to go over to the regular cab build, which is my next goal, that truck, the first year I run it, I want to do my first year with it. It would probably be, I'd like to be in the 12s the first year to be as fast as my crew cab goals. And then the following year, my goal would be to get into the 9s. So that would be my following goal, is when that truck is complete, when the regular cab is complete, 9 seconds would be my goal. So we'll see with the regular cab, definitely easier because you're a lot lighter. It's like over 1,000 pounds lighter than my truck or something like that, or around 1,000. So we'll see what happens there. Traction bars in the future, not for this truck. And my reason for that is actually because I have airbags in the rear that I adjust up and down pretty frequently. Yes, I know there's adjustable track bars, but it's just a hassle I don't feel like having. The whole point of it, the traction bar, is to prevent less flex and everything, to keep traction. But now when I do a regular cab, absolutely that's going to have traction bars. I'm going to lower a regular cab, put big meaty tires on it, not necessarily a larger diameter, just meaty drag radial, and make some stuff happen. JK, are you having any specific issues to limit? The 6-liter has quite a few areas that can lead to a no start. Do you have a specific issue that I can kind of get into? Know the altitude of the track you're running at. Well, let's Google the track that you're running at, or that I ran at, excuse me. This darn thing. No, my 6.0 person. Then we will just do a generic no start thing here once I look up Maple Grove Raceway altitude. Let's see what pops up. 541 feet is what Maple Grove Raceway in Reading, Pennsylvania is. So that's where that is. Let's see where Cecil is. And Cecil County is density altitude. I don't want density altitude, I just want altitude. I don't know what density altitude means. Sorry for this boring moment, guys. They're at 320 feet. So a little lower down, a little lower altitude definitely should help make some better passes than Maple Grove. Of course, again, we did run our best time at Maple Grove. Rippin 60, you want to spend my money very well. Cow tracks. The cow tracks are really nice. I believe they're also very expensive. Not to say I wouldn't consider them, but one thing I'm all about products that I do not use every most expensive part I can on my truck. For instance, my intercooler is very budget. It's a quarter of the cost of some of the higher end competitors, but it gets the job done and does it well. So I feel like cow tracks, for as amazing as they are, I don't know that they represent a value that I want. Now, maybe when I get to a drag build where I'm less concerned about that, I might be more inclined to use them. We'll see. But my truck will probably not get them. Now, for no start 6-liter issues, it is that time of year. I feel this is when people start hitting more no start issues. But so if you have a hot no start issue, that's probably the most common no start issue a 6-liter has. Excuse me again. We'll break this up into two different sections because early style trucks have fewer parts that tend to fail, and later years typically have more parts that tend to fail, but they tend to be less expensive to fix. So early year trucks like mine, typically the failure is either ICP, IPR valve related, or your high pressure oil pump failed. But typically a hot nose start is not a pump failure unless it's an internal leak to the pump, which on the earlier years does happen. So that is something that can happen. But typically your culprit is in your ICP sensor or a bad IPR valve. And again, you want to, this is a video I'm planning on making that goes more in depth to this. It'll probably be a very boring video unless you're having this issue. But when you have that failure, you have to measure your ICP to see if it's your IPR. And an easy way to rule out ICP sensors, unplug it, try to turn your truck over. This typically is not a hot start issue. This is just a no start issue in general. I kind of got off topic here now that I think about it. And then your IPR is also a typical failure point, especially if you have a pump that's dying. You're more likely to experience an IPR failure as it's pressing. There's normally a debris associated with the failure, can press in there. And the value your monitor sees is Jordan, I'll get to that in just a minute, brother. Typically the value, well, not typically, the value your monitor sees for the IPR valve is what it's commanding. It's not its actual position. So if you're making 400 ICP of pressure and your IPR is commanding 85% shut, which means you're getting all the pressure in there, it's not bleeding any off, and you still cannot start the truck, either you have a bad pump or your IPR is faulty, which depending on your IPR mileage, I would just replace it anyway. You can pull it and inspect it. It's a little bit of work to do that, but it is an option as well to pull your IPR and inspect it for debris. If your screen's broken, you probably have debris in it. You need to get it out. You can clean them out. Diesel Tech Ron has a video on that. But if you have a pump failure and you're still commanding it shut, typically on the early ones, the pump fails. That is the typical issue with early 6-liters is the pump fails. You can get internal injector leaks. That's kind of rare unless you're running way too much fuel pressure, which some people do, but that's a whole nother debate. But or the oil log O-rings from the nipples that press into the injector. I know my hand motions I'm doing do nothing for you guys. In my head, they make sense because that's how you install the part. Anyway, so for early trucks, typically you're looking at a pump failure or an ICP sensor. IPR valves do go, although I do feel they're less common unless you have a pump on the way out. So to check IC, if it's your ICP sensor across every 6 liter, unplug it, try to turn it. If it turns on, hey, you can get home. You have that ICP sensor you need to replace. Going to the later years, your pump doesn't typically fail. They came up with a much more reliable pump. So there's that. But what they did do is you have dummy plugs, standpipe, and a snap to connect fitting that fail all the time on top of your normal IPR and ICP sensor failures, although the ICP sensor in later years is more reliable. Again, if you're trying to rule that out as a no start, unplug it and you'll be fine. Typically in these in the later year trucks, probably the most common one I hear about is snap to connect fitting. It is updated now with a thread-in one. You do have to pull the cover to the high pressure oil pump. That is the most common. Now I will say this, if you have a hot nose start, you're looking at a leak. Typically, it's not typically a pump failure. A hot nose start, me personally, I'm going to replace the snap to connect fitting with the upgraded one. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put standpipes and dummy plugs in unless I know I've done them recently. Because if one failed in my head, I could see another one happening soon after. The upgraded ones have a nylon reinforced ring, and that seems to be working very well. You don't hear about hot nose starts nearly as often. What you are hearing about is shops not installing the snap to connect fitting, the new upgraded one, correctly. Excuse me, it's no longer a snap to connect, it is threading with an O-ring, the nylon reinforced there again. So I would personally look up how Diesel Tech Ron does it, or Super Duty Service also has videos on how it's supposed to be done correctly. So go check those guys out, and that's typically where they're leaking. Those are the biggest reasons 6 liters don't start. You can have cam and crank no sync. Fickum sync is another one. Low Fickum voltage can give you hard starts or no starts, especially in the winter time. So that is another thing to connect or to check on. Let's see here. I ran my 14.9. Is that supposed to say 5,600 feet elevation? Because if you're running that at 5,600 feet elevation, you're cruising if you came down to where we are. What turbo and injector setup? I'm running a Power Max with a cast wheel for the time being, and Warren Diesel Premium 175 stock nozzle injectors. I bet you'll get a lot of views. I am hoping for a lot of views, JK. Jordan, so I am definitely planning. I haven't really revealed this yet, but in the spring next year, I am planning one more large teardown of my truck that will include a regulated return install. It will include the injectors. I'm going to put one more new oil cooler in just to have a new oil cooler. And we're actually going to dress up the engine bay with some powder coat. That is the big plan for under the hood there. And again, have it kind of be the final disassembly and reassembly of the truck, and try to stay away from having to do anything under there anytime soon other than filter change. And so I am also going to delete the stock fuel bowl. I have all the filtration I need in my fast fuel system. So that is the big plan there. And again, to kind of finally, not finally, but to dress up everything under there and just be done. What did you say you wanted to talk to me about? I dropped off and just... Josh is on here, guys. What did I say I want to talk to you about? Oh, one of the subscribers wants to send us new dummy plugs and standpipes, because he said Josh looks like the kind of guy that doesn't maintain his truck correctly, and I figured I'd help him out. I mean, I don't know where he came to that conclusion, but yeah, something about that. His name was James. No, he has an extra set lying around and asked if we wanted them, and I wasn't sure if you had the upgraded one. So anyway, I told him to shoot me a text message. But yeah, that's what I was going to talk to you about. Josh threw me off my game, guys. I'm sorry. Reading ICP on the SC is a commanded pressure, not actual. JK, so now the ICP, well, this gets a little confusing too. So in factory Ford tuning, what your ICP reads is actually what your ICP is. When you have certain tuners, they start to change how it reads ICP, and it's not always your actual ICP value. Now, there is a test port on the front of the oil cooler if you want to read actual ICP pressure, but coming from factory tuning, some people will let it read that, like Innovative Diesel. Their race tunes do not read actual ICP. It caps at about 2,050 PSI. That is the most you'll see out of Innovative Diesels. Whereas some tuners will, some tuners won't. You have to talk to your individual tuner if you're getting the actual correct value or not. IPR, on the other hand, is much like, this goes for IPR and your VGT point. What happens is, so you have two leads going in to those two sensors. You don't have a third coming back that reports to your PCM what actual position is. It just tells you commanded. So when you see your turbo or your IPR at 60%, that's not the actual value in it. It is just a value that the PCM is commanding that part to do. So if you have sticking VGT vanes and it's commanding 85%, the computer is not seeing the appropriate boost level, so it's trying to slam those vanes shut to get there. That's one of your signs that you have sticking vanes, is when you're half throttle and you're still commanding 70, 75, 80% of VGT, means it's not seeing the boost at once. It does sometimes throw a code too, again, depending on tuning and a few other parameters as well. Same thing goes for your IPR valve. It will it'll command maximum IPR, but it might be stuck at 30%. And I think to crank it typically needs to jump up into like the 40 or 50s to actually start the truck. Don't hold me to that number by any means. But so it might command 80 because it's saying we're not hitting our normal value that we get at 50%, and it may still only be stuck at 20 or 30. So that is what's happening. The PCM is not registered to have a return value of what it actually is reading. And again, tuning messes that up as well and changes how that all happens. Sorry, guys, I'm reading this one. Straight six fan, can you tell me exactly what you mean here? I think I'm a little lost. I was researching IDI parts, like the indirect injection, like the old 7.3s before they came up with the Powerstroke name back like the 6.9 era. Am I on the right track with you here? I think I understand correctly. I just want to make sure I'm right before I start commenting on it. That you're talking like old school 6.9, early 7.3 indirect injection. I don't even think there may have been a year pre-power. Okay, just making sure I'm on the right track, man. I have still not heard much about people talking about those. I do know there's some very passionate people about them. I am personally not one of them. Not that I don't love them, because they kind of started the engine, that I really love. But at the end of the day, I think they've become dinosaurs. I think they're cool in the sense of, I'm not saying I would never want to build one just to kind of say I did it, because again, they started what I currently have now, but I'm still not really, I don't think there's a big uprising in it. Typically what people are doing is they're coming back to early Duramax and the Cummins pre-emission stuff. The EPA is not really targeting 6-liter Powerstrokes. It's more the DPF equipped stuff that they're like trying to bury that whole tuning and delete process. But typically I think what's happened is people are just coming back to earlier modern diesels that they can still bring great power out of at reasonable prices, and they don't have to worry about the EPA destroying them for their exhaust and stuff like that. I think that's what's happening here. I could be wrong, don't hold me to that, but I have not seen a movement back to the IDI diesels. Again, I think they're cool, and they came in some of the best looking Ford trucks ever made, but I don't see a movement back to them at this moment. Recap. Excursion air piece, studs, new Ford oil pump, water pump, everything is stock. Even has a cat. JK, get rid of the cat. Only thing done is a fast. Oh, you picked like the biggest fast full fuel pump you could on 37s and an 8-inch left. You have enough fuel to hit like 900, 1100 horsepower. Yet you have a stock truck. That's funny. JK, you need some big old injectors in there, brother. Do you do any towing or anything? Straight six fan, don't apologize for being wordy. You're all good, brother. A rat rod in an IDI would be, all right, you got me there. That would be pretty cool. Good night, Mom. Yeah, rat rod IDI, that I could get behind. That'd be pretty cool. If you ever make that happen, you need to send some pictures and stuff because that, like I said, that would get me. Yeah, JK, you got to make a monster out of that then. Let's get some injectors in there, big old turbo. You got a 8-inch lift, 37-inch tires. Now let's get some power behind them, make them spin, brother. Yeah, straight six fan. I really think that's what people are doing. I'm going to jump to conclusions that you're a Dodge fan by your name. You guys, I think Dodge ran. I think Cummins paid the fine, or there was something that happened that they could run longer without an EGR. I don't know if it was a fine they paid per unit moved or what it was, but if I remember correctly, you guys ran without EGR for much longer than other engines did. So for Dodge fans, you guys have a much larger window. For Chevy and Ford guys, we're really stuck to the 07s tops. And even then, we still have EGR deletes there, whereas you guys, if I remember right, can go much further without it. Bought it from a Bud at Bud's Diesel. Bought it from Bud at Bud's Diesel in Huntington, California. Didn't fit his driveway. Cali legal. Cali legal. That's a shame that's a saying. Pull the catalytic converter down, punch it out, and you put a 4-inch exhaust pipe in there like an American, darn it. And you roll some coal. Now, I do want to clarify my last comment. I'm not a diehard roll coal guy at all. By no means am I into that nonsense stuff. Just before anybody gets upset, it's just a joke. Yeah, straight six fan. That would be freaking awesome, dude. I'm actually a Ford guy. My screen is humming from my first truck, a 95 F-150 with a 4.9 i6 5-speed. Great engine. A lot of people love those inline 6 F-150s from the early 90s. They were cool trucks. I feel like they're relatively uncommon too. I don't think there's a ton of them around or something. It wasn't an often picked package, but I know quite a few people love it if I remember correctly. JK, then just take the catalytic converter out. Don't need it. I'm sure nobody in California would ever give you a fine or penalty for that. Rippin' 6-0, take care, man. Yeah, hit me up, man. Let me know. JK, I don't hear my turbo much on long trips. It doesn't bug. And I do have a muffler on my truck. It is not a straight pipe truck. Despite everybody telling me to straight pipe it, it is also the truck that tows, so I refuse to straight pipe it, but it's not bad. You can hear the turbo, but I think you hear more underhood turbo noise, to be honest. It can be pretty loud, but I hear you, dude. I don't think anyone can knock somebody for saying on long road trips, I don't want to deal with that. I can completely agree. That would be cool. A 4BT swap in a 95 150. Man, that stinks. I'm sorry to hear you had to let that thing go. That would be awesome to have a Fummins in a 4BT F-150. That'd be a cool project, man. There you go, JK. Just put a muffler. Get rid of that cat. Put the muffler where the cat is supposed to be, and tell the goofy guy that's going to pull you over that it's an upgraded catalytic converter to help stop pollution more, because you didn't feel the factory one stopped enough. I think they'll probably give you a medal or something out in California. 84 Ranger. That would be cool. That would be fun. Guys, any more questions or anything? I think this live stream is starting to come to an end. JK, I'm not a fan of the catalytic converter. It's a terrible idea on a diesel. But I'm telling you, I think if you what you need to do is put two mufflers. Put one in the catalytic converter spot and another in the correct muffler spot. And just tell them it's an upgraded catalytic converter to prevent pollution. I'm telling you, well, they won't know any different out there. And my sister's on. Well, guys, like I said, this has been a great live stream. And she's actually right over here laughing at me. So, guys, who wants to see Jordan drive my brother's truck? Straight Six fan, thanks for coming in, brother. Wouldn't that restrict as much as the cat? Well, JK, it would not, because most of the diesel mufflers are actually a straight through design. Jordan, get away from my food. Guys, I'm sorry about her. Are you seriously eating my food? Stop it. She gives me heartburn, guys. Nobody wants to see you drive my truck, Jordan. But JK, what I was saying is most diesel mufflers are actually a straight through design with like a perforated inside, and that's what gives the muffling, I guess is the appropriate word to use. That's what gives the muffling of it. So it would not be. Now, there are a few diesel mufflers that are a little more restrictive. What's one called? Sidewinder or corkscrew. There are some that actually have a muffling aspect to it that are more restrictive that, again, that concern would be very, very valid at that point. But most do not have that. And JK, I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I don't want anyone to get in trouble with their state. I know California is pretty strict on diesel emissions, so don't listen to me being a smart aleck here at all. Jordan, he does not. Yeah, nobody wants to see you drive my truck. Everyone wants to see you drive Josh's truck. That's what they all said. Said you're not ready for the kind of power mine puts out, which I agree with them wholeheartedly. All right, guys, this has been a blast. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for asking all the questions. Yeah, Jordan, you missed the whole thing because you're an unsupportive sister. But again, guys, thank you so much. You guys all make this channel possible. Again, your support is awesome. If you guys can, then Zach, have a good one, brother. Take care. But if you guys can, come out to the New Jersey dyno event. Again, it's called Trucksgiving, New Jersey Diesel Repair and Performance. JK, you do not love Jordan.
JK, I love you.
Jordan, get away. Get away.
You tell him how awesome I was at filming?
She did help film a lot of video. Some of hers made it in there.
Who wants to see me race Jared's truck
Jordan.
at the New Jersey dyno thing?
It's not a racing event. It's a dyno.
Oh, never mind.
Do you guys see what I live with? It's awful. But anyway, guys, again, if you can, come out to the dyno event, November 17th. I think it starts at like 11 a.m., something like that. Don't push it, Jordan. Jordan, they love this truck more than they love me. They're not letting you race it. Anyway, guys, take care. Again, thank you. Hope to see you guys at the dyno event. And we'll catch you in the next upload, guys.